Hey buddies, Potatomcwhiskey here, and today I just want to talk to you real quick about Old World. The game has just released on Steam, and I think the game is good enough and important enough to the 4X genre that even though I'm not sponsored, I'm going to go ahead and tell you to go ahead and try the game out. It is a fantastic game, and I'm going to make a case for that in this video. A very simple way to describe Old World is that it's kind of a graduate program for 4X players. If you've played a decent amount of 4X games and you're looking for something with a little bit more teeth or something with a little bit more complexity, or even just something that pushes the genre forward a little bit, Old World is 100% for you. It has a wonderful setting. It's set in the classical era, or I think it might actually be like the Bronze/Iron Age and then a little bit of the classical era. It's mostly centered around antiquity. It's not, it doesn't span, the timeline of the game doesn't span from the Stone Age all the way up until the Space Age. It's very much so more focused. And Old World does a lot of things different that a lot of 4X games don't do. And in doing so, it actually avoids a lot of the mistakes of other 4X games. Now, the most important innovation of Old World, in my opinion, is the orders mechanic. Instead of like allowing you to move every unit every single turn and do exactly what you want with them, you have to kind of dole out your orders a little bit more carefully, a little bit more judiciously. This avoids one of the major problems of the 4X genre, which is that by the late game, you have so many units and so many workers that you need to command them all every single turn. A turn can take, multiple minutes. Like we're talking 10 minutes to do a single turn. Whereas in Old World, because of the fundamental limitation of the orders mechanic, you might find yourself taking turns a little bit sooner because you just don't have enough orders resources to move all of your units. So it kind of acts as a little bit of a soft cap on how many things you can do in every turn. This dramatically simplifies the turn-to-turn gameplay and also offers you many opportunities for interesting decisions. And while some people might find it limiting and, hard to play around with in the beginning, I do think you should really try the game for this mechanic alone. Now, another way Old World completely sidesteps one of the biggest problems with the 4X genre is that Old World doesn't have a production resource. That's right. There is no resource in Old World that is analogous to production from Humankind or production from Civ or production from any other 4X game. Now, Old World instead splits production up into three categories. You have growth, which is used to make your civilian units. You have training, which is used to make your military units. And then you have civics, which is used to train your specialists and also do certain projects. And depending on what you're building to, these will also have downstream effects. For example, if you're building a civilian unit, your city won't grow. If you're building a military unit, your excess training won't go into your global pool, which means you will have less training resources to do things like promoting units or giving them a commander. And similarly with civics, which is your third type of production, if you're building something with civics, you won't be getting civics into your global pool of civics, so you'll be able to pass less laws, you'll be able to rush less production. There's just all these downstream effects of how you're using all these three different production lines that change how the game plays and feels. And because depending on which production line you're using, the other two production lines are doing something other than production, it kind of, I don't know how to describe this, but even though you really, really need to say build something with growth, you'll be like, but I also need to grow a population and I also really need civics or I really need training. And that introduces a lot of really interesting decisions when just choosing not only what you want to build, but from which category do you want to build. And not only that, by splitting the production into three different categories, it makes it much harder to use one production to get more production. And it kind of evens out that snowball effect that you get in a lot of these games, where getting an extra couple of points of production and growth can lead to you getting another couple of points of production and growth and another couple of, and so on and so forth, where you get this self-fulfilling prophecy of overpowered feedback looping. I'm not sure that was a very well constructed sentence, but I said it anyway. And the third major flagship feature that I think should convince you to go try Old World is the character system in the game. Old World does not have a traditional gameplay loop when it comes to interactions. You have actually, you are actually playing as a leader of the empire. You will have relationships. You have a spouse. You'll have children. You have characters in the empire who are trying to kill you. You have characters in the empire who are your friends. You have enemies in other empires. You might become best friends with another a king. You might marry a king's daughter, and then your children will be half Greek, and those half Greek children will be held in high regard in the Greek Empire, for example. There's a lot of intricacy and development, and characters can grow, they can gain attributes, they can have conflicts, they can murder each other, they can serve as officers of the state, being things like spy masters and chancellors and diplomats, they can serve as governors, they can be generals of your units. There is so much going on with the character system that it really is a flagship feature. But the main flagship feature that the character system really directly interacts with is the narrative event system in the game. Now, if you're familiar with things like Europa Universalis 4 or Crusader Kings 3, or perhaps even like, any Paradox game that has events, imagine those event systems turned up to 11 and made into a flagship gameplay feature. Nearly every single turn that you're playing Old World, you will be presented with a choice or an event that is part of like a little mini narrative that is playing out in your empire. You might get the opportunity to cheat on your wife in order to sire a bastard. You might get the opportunity to take a pet monkey into your employ and have a little pet monkey, and he'll get up to all sorts of hijinks. Maybe you'll encourage that pet monkey to murder your own firstborn son because you were hoping that the second in line would take the throne because he has better stats, or for whatever other reason. Maybe your firstborn is insane because you had them tutored by some sort of religious mystic that kind of, we don't know what they did to them, but the son didn't come out right. This is the canvas of possibility that you're dealing with when you look at this narrative event system, and it's honestly the best and most powerful feature of the game. It's the part of the game that I have the most fun with, upgrading my characters, leveling them up by doing actions, developing relationships with people who are the heads of certain religions. There's just so much going on with this game, and they just released the game to Steam. It's now fully available on Steam. There is also a new DLC which is bundled with the game. You get access to another civilization as well as a whole bunch of scenarios. The scenarios are decent. I wouldn't like super hardcore recommend them. They're okay. I'm not really a scenario kind of guy. It's not my favorite thing, but they're pretty good. But yeah, I really, really do believe that Old World is going to be a game changer for 4X games, and it's going to set a new standard, not only for quality, because it's an extremely high quality game, but also in terms of features. Humankind issued some very interesting challenges to the old design paradigms of 4X games, and I think Old World issues some very much so, maybe even more fundamental challenges to the 4X genre design. If Humankind was like a critique of the 4X genre, Old World is almost like a thesis on the critique. Like it's like a full-blown theory with funding that goes to the real heart of the assumptions that we've made what makes a 4X game. And I think that's why Old World isn't just a good game. If you're a fan of 4X games, it's an important game for you to play and really take the time to understand. Now, if you don't care about 4X games, I got you covered, right? Because I'm going to be doing a beginner Let's Play as the Hittites starting tomorrow, so look out for that. I had wanted to today get out a review of the game, but that unfortunately did not happen. I have the review fully typed out and nearly fully edited. It's just it's just the actual editing process is very laborious, and far more laborious than I had thought, and I've had far less time to do things than I thought I would have. So that's just that's just the situation I'm in. I wanted to have the review done for now. Things have just been a little bit hectic for me, and they're continuing to get more hectic. I've got so many trips planned. I've got business trips planned. I'm going to TwitchCon. There's so much going on that getting work done has been a little bit harder. I am getting to it, and I will be making the Old World review number one, super top priority. The game is so important, in my opinion, that it deserves me sitting down and spending the 20 to 30 hours to write and edit this review. And so that will be coming soon, I hope. And there will be gameplay videos as well. Super. I super cannot recommend the game enough. Check it out, buy it. Seriously, go watch some streams. There's a bunch of really cool people streaming it on Twitch. 2D Kiri streamed some. I think Filthy Robot is playing it. There's a few people that I recognize playing it. Absolutely 100% recommended. I wish I was streaming it right now, but unfortunately, I'm stuck trying to finish a review, a project that has become an Ouroboros that is consuming all of my time and itself. But if I can get it done, I feel like it'll be a really, really good video. I love you all very much. Make sure you check out Old World, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.